This video reveals how sexual energy is the true foundation of prosperity, not only in the financial realm, but also as the magnetic force that attracts respect, opportunity, and abundance in all areas of life. While 97% of men squander this power daily, robbing them of their potential, a discreet minority has mastered the art of channeling it to create influence and empires. The gap between the common man and the wealthy is not based on inheritance, but on the ability to preserve and direct inner energy. Carl Jung described this force as a volcano within every human being. The question is simple: will you let it erupt in fleeting pleasure, or will you use it as fuel to forge inner greatness? At the end of this video, you'll see exactly how to turn sexual energy into a force of prosperity that radiates magnetism. You'll learn the principle that distinguishes average men from natural leaders, and how this timeless practice can radically change your financial trajectory and social influence. If you feel you have untapped power and no longer want to fit in with the crowd, this message is for you. What you're about to discover is not speculation, it is a spiritual technology, quietly used by powerful men throughout history. Prepare to awaken the king within you. There is an energetic frequency accessible to only 3% of people. It cannot be bought, inherited, or imitated. It is an unmistakable presence that emerges from deep within, silent, yet impossible to ignore. When you enter a room, people sense your presence even before you utter a single word. Doors open, resources flow your way, and respect naturally arises. Jung referred to this refined, libidinal energy as sexual power transformed into creative force and prosperity. However, very few understand that this transformation is not accidental. It requires tireless discipline and a secret that the ancients guarded like a treasure. Most people live in a constant state of exhaustion. Every time they indulge in empty indulgence, they deplete the very reserve of energy that could have made them powerful. It's like a car with an empty tank. No matter how much gas you put in, the tank is always empty just when you most need to accelerate. Look at the truly wealthy men around you. I'm not just talking about money, but absolute prosperity. Radiant health, good relationships, successful projects, and a presence that naturally commands respect. Their energy is special, a density, an internal magnetism that attracts everything around them. Jung discovered that this difference wasn't due to intelligence, luck, or connections. It was the result of the ability to transform sexual energy into creative power. The ancient alchemists called this the transmutation of lead into gold. But they weren't talking about metals. They were codifying the process of transforming pure desire into refined magnetism. When you learn to control and direct your sexual energy, something extraordinary happens in your nervous system. Your mind sharpens, your intuition honed, and your ability to make informed decisions increases exponentially. You'll begin to recognize opportunities that were previously hidden from you. But this comes at a price. This path requires you to give up instant gratification in favor of lasting power. It's the difference between consuming and creating, between controlling your impulses and controlling your energy. The truth that few dare to accept is this: your sexual energy is your most valuable currency. You can spend it on fleeting moments of pleasure, or invest it in building an inner empire that will manifest itself in outer wealth. The decision is always yours, but the consequences are irreversible. Semen retention is not just an exercise, it's alchemy. By preserving the essence of your life, you literally transform sexual energy into neurological fuel. Your brain begins to function at a different, higher, and more creative frequency. Jung observed that men who practice this discipline develop what he called the transcendent function, the ability to integrate opposites and create solutions where others see only problems. It is precisely this ability that distinguishes visionary entrepreneurs from ordinary workers. During the first 7 days of confinement, you will experience internal turmoil. This is the redirection of your sexual energy. It's like building a dam on a river. At first, there is turbulence. Then, a steady, controlled force develops. Your nervous system learns a new functional pattern. Between the 1st and 14th days, something fascinating happens. Your voice becomes deeper and more assertive. Your gaze intensifies. People react differently to your presence. You not only conserve energy, but you also increase your personal appeal. After 21 days, your mind reaches a state that the young call heightened creativity. Ideas come naturally. Solutions to old problems appear out of nowhere. Your ability to concentrate increases. At this point, many men report their first financial successes. But there's a secret few know. It's not just about not ejaculating, but about consciously focusing your energy on your goals. When you feel your sexual desire increasing, focus fully on your projects instead of unleashing or repressing it. Think of your sexual energy as steam. In most men, this steam constantly escapes through the pleasure valve. But by turning it off and connecting it to a turbine tailored to your goals, you generate pure electricity, a power that manifests in prosperity. Modern science is beginning to confirm what the ancients already knew. Studies show that men who practice moderation have higher testosterone levels, better cognitive function, and a greater ability to take calculated risks. These are precisely the characteristics of successful entrepreneurs. But there is a spiritual dimension that transcends science. Jung spoke of nominal energy, a sacred force that manifests when one aligns one's sexuality with higher goals. It's this energy that makes some people naturally attractive and successful. A man who masters his sexuality doesn't hold back. He's strategic. He understands that every drop of his being harbors infinite creative potential. Wasting it on fleeting pleasure just like burning money to stay warm for a few seconds. There's a certain energetic frequency that attracts wealth. This isn't metaphor, it's a measurable reality that is felt in the presence of truly wealthy people. They radiate a different vibration, an energetic density that generates opportunities around them. Jung identified this frequency as a direct result of the transmutation of sexual energy. By recharging your life force, you not only conserve it, but you refine it. It's like the difference between coal and diamond, the same substance, but with a completely different pressure. Most men live in low frequencies of scarcity and need. You radiate an energy of desire, need, and aspirations that repels excess. Abundance attracts abundance, not scarcity. By mastering your sexual energy, you automatically achieve inner fulfillment. Think of the most successful men among you. Their presence radiates a serene authority. They have nothing to prove to anyone. Their movements are not marked by desperate urgency. They radiate a serene confidence, born from the certainty of having access to an inexhaustible source of inner power. This is no coincidence. It is the direct result of years of work to transform sexual energy into creative power. Whenever they could waste this energy on momentary pleasures, they invested it in developing their magnetic presence, the frequency of abundance. possesses certain qualities that can be consciously developed. First, it is an energy that flows from within, not from without. You don't seek to drain the energy of others. You radiate from your own inner source. Second, it's a patient but tireless energy, like a river that builds mountains, not with force, but with constant perseverance. Successful people don't rush, because they know they have access to an inexhaustible source of energy. Third, it is an energy that combines total concentration and serene detachment. They pursue their goals with all their might without blindly focusing on results. This paradoxical combination is only possible if one possesses an internal source of satisfaction, independent of external circumstances. Jung observed that people who reach this frequency develop what he called a higher reality function. You've begun to operate at a level of consciousness that naturally attracts success and prosperity. But here's the deeper part. By cultivating this frequency, by storing and transforming sexual energy, you not only transform your own life, but you also raise the frequency of those around you. Your presence becomes a catalyst for others to awaken their potential. That's why great leaders and visionaries always exercise exceptional control over their sexual energy. They understand that this is the difference between influencing the world and being influenced by it, between creating reality and being created by it. Abundance isn't something you fake before you achieve it. It's something that's systematically built by consciously transforming your sexual energy into personal attraction. Once you reach this frequency, wealth ceases to be a goal to pursue, but rather a natural consequence of your development. A man who masters his sexual energy possesses undeniable attraction. It's not something that can be faked or imitated. It's an energetic quality that shines everywhere, a presence that speaks even before your words. Jung called it archaic authority, a primordial force that awakens something profound in those around you. By practicing constant retention, your nervous system undergoes a fundamental transformation. Your voice naturally becomes deeper and more authoritative. Your gaze takes on a penetrating intensity that captures the attention of those around you. Your movements become more deliberate and precise. Each gesture carries weight, but its magnetic power goes far beyond appearances. It's a shift in your energetic frequency that influences your interaction with reality. Opportunities present themselves by chance. Influential people fall under your spell for no apparent reason. Once impossible business projects become feasible. This happens because you have developed what Jung called nominal presence, a sacred quality that awakens the archetype of the king in those around you. They instinctively recognize spiritual authority, even if they can't explain why. The average person wastes their energy in every way, with frequent ejaculations, but also with behaviors that drain their vitality. They complain, justify themselves, seek recognition, and waste time on distractions. They're like a leaky pipe. No matter how much pressure is built up, it always ends up leaking. A confined person, on the other hand, becomes a closed, high-pressure system. All the energy generated is stored and consciously directed. This creates an energetic density that is literally tangible to those around them. Neuroscientific studies show that men who participate in restraint programs develop greater gray matter density in the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for decision-making, impulse control, and leadership. Their brains are literally evolving, but there is a dimension that transcends science. By constantly preserving the vital essence, we begin to accumulate what the ancient Taoists called Jing, a concentrated vital energy that manifests as a magnetic glow. This energy attracts not only people, but also favorable circumstances. It's as if the universe conspires to support those who have demonstrated mastery of their primal powers. You attract valuable opportunities, resources, and contacts. This magnetic power also manifests in your ability to influence discreetly. You no longer need to convince or persuade with sophisticated arguments. Your mere presence confers authority when you speak. People not only hear your words, but also feel the energy that animates them. Jung observed that this type of magnetism awakens what he calls archetypal transference. They project onto the hidden individual the qualities of the father, the king, the sage, primitive archetypes endowed with immense psychological power. But here lies the deeper aspect. This magnetism is not manipulation, but the authentic expression of an inner power, developed through conscious discipline. They don't seek to impress anyone. You are simply the most sophisticated version of yourself. The magnetic person doesn't chase. He attracts. He doesn't coerce. He inspires. He doesn't demand. He provides this complete reversal of energetic polarity that creates true and lasting prosperity. It generates a state of creativity that few men experience, a zone of genius where ideas flow freely and solutions emerge spontaneously. Jung identified this state as the direct result of transforming sexual energy into creative power. It's no coincidence that great geniuses throughout history, from Tesla to Leonardo da Vinci, practiced strategic abstinence during their most productive periods. By preserving your life essence, you literally transform sexual energy into neurological energy. Studies show that dopamine, serotonin, and other neurotransmitters involved in sexual desire are also responsible for creativity and innovation. By not wasting them on sexual release, you conserve them for creative explosions. Strategic celibacy isn't repression, but a conscious reorientation. It's the difference between a river flowing into a swamp and one channeled to produce hydroelectric power. The energy is the same, but the result is radically different. During the first 30 days of detox, the brain begins to form new neural connections, regions that were previously reserved for processing. Sexual stimuli are now used for problem solving and strategic thinking. This is a true reorganization of mental architecture. Jung called this creative sublimation the process by which primitive energy is transformed into a higher expression. But he went beyond theory. He observed that men who mastered this method developed what he called heightened intuition, the ability to know things without knowing their source. This heightened intuition manifests itself in practical and beneficial ways. One begins to perceive what investments to make, who to trust, and what opportunities to seize. This isn't cheap mysticism. It's a higher form of information processing that emerges when energy isn't constantly depleted. The explosive creativity of strategic celibacy has predictable phases. In the first week, you'll feel restless. Your sexual energy is redirected and your nervous system adapts. During the second week, overall mental clarity sets in. Problems that seemed insoluble reveal obvious solutions. Between the third and fourth weeks, what Jung called a creative explosion occurs. Ideas flow like an avalanche. Projects that had stalled gain momentum. Your ability to imagine future possibilities multiplies exponentially. After the first month, you'll reach what the ancient alchemists called the golden state, a state of sustained creativity where you consistently reach your full potential. This is the state cultivated by great entrepreneurs and visionaries. to build empires. But there's a deeper side. Strategic celibacy develops what Jung called active imagination, the ability to consciously communicate with the creative subconscious. One learns to access information and perspectives that transcend normal conscious perception. This ability provides a considerable competitive advantage in the business world. While others rely on public information, you have access to a source of inner intelligence that few know how to tap into. Those who practice strategic abstinence don't renounce pleasure. They choose a higher pleasure, the pleasure of creating something out of nothing, of solving impossible problems, of making their visions a reality. Jung observed that this practice creates a magnetic and creative personality, a type of person who naturally attracts resources, people, and opportunities because they tap into a source of inner power that most lack. Within each person resides an archetype that Jung identified as the king, not in the political sense, but as a primordial psychological force that represents spiritual authority, natural leadership, and the ability to create order out of chaos. The preservation and transformation of sexual energy are crucial in this process. To awaken this inner kingship, the archetypal king does not rule through brute force or manipulation. He inspires respect thanks to his cultured presence, his ability to make sound decisions even under pressure, and his ability to see opportunities where others only see problems. These qualities are naturally developed through mastery of sexual energy. Jung observed that men who have awakened their inner power have a radically different relationship with power. They do not seek power over others, but rather cultivate it over themselves. This investment creates a magnetic authority that attracts enthusiastic followers, lucrative opportunities, and abundant resources. The process of awakening the king through seed storage goes through predictable phases. First comes the warrior phase. You develop iron discipline and the ability to resist impulses. This is the foundation of all true power, mastery of your own primal forces. Then comes the magician phase. Your intuition sharpens, your ability to recognize patterns increases, and you develop what Jung calls practical wisdom. You begin to make decisions that others consider risky, but which you intuitively know are right. Finally, the king awakens, a synthesis of strength and wisdom. Manifesting as a natural leader, you no longer need to demonstrate your authority, as it emanates naturally from your presence. People instinctively trust your judgment and seek your guidance. The inner king possesses special qualities that you can consciously cultivate. First, act from inner abundance, not lack. Give value because you have it, not because you need it in return. This shift in energetic polarity attracts true prosperity. Second, the inner king has a long-term vision. While others are driven by spontaneous impulses, he systematically builds his inner and outer kingdom. Every decision is evaluated not only based on its immediate benefit, but also on its impact on his broader mission. Third, the inner king leads by example, not by words. His personal discipline, integrity, and ability to transform visions into reality inspire others to willingly follow him. Jung recognized that those who have awakened their inner king develop what is called the reality function, the ability to materialize their visions in the physical world. They don't just dream, they act. They don't just plan, they manifest. However, therein lies the deepest secret. The inner king can only emerge when the most fundamental level is mastered: one's own sexuality. Sexual energy is the most primal and powerful force within you. Mastering this power demonstrates to your subconscious that you are ready to access a greater power. For this reason, ancient cultures have always associated spiritual leadership with sexual control. This wasn't about moralism, but about spiritual technology. They understood that the ability to lead others begins with the ability to lead oneself at the most fundamental level. Those who awaken their inner king through sperm preservation do not become arrogant or authoritarian. On the contrary, they develop true humility, that of someone who knows their power and therefore uses it responsibly. This is the paradox of true power. The more power one possesses, the less need there is to flaunt it. The awakened king doesn't need to shout to be heard or be threatened to earn respect. There's no need to compete for recognition. His mere presence confers authority, forged in the fire of basic self-discipline. There is a prosperity that needs no ostentation or demonstration. It is an abundance that quietly infiltrates every aspect of life. Not just money, but also radiant health, good relationships, his highly accomplished projects, and a deep connection to a higher purpose. Jung called this nominal wealth, a wealth that arises naturally when one aligns one's sexual energy with higher purposes. It's not a desperate pursuit, but a natural consequence of the person one has become. Through the discipline of retention, a truly wealthy person doesn't need to boast about their wealth. Their wealth is revealed in the calm of their presence, the serenity of their gestures, and the wisdom of their words. You radiate self-confidence, born of the certainty of accessing an inexhaustible inner source of creative power. This silent prosperity has specific characteristics that distinguish it from superficial wealth. First, it's sustainable because it's independent of external factors. It's based on your ability to continually create value through your refined energy and boundless creativity. Second, it's magnetic. Silent prosperity attracts more prosperity through a principle Jung calls synchronicity. Meaningful coincidences occur when you operate at higher frequencies. Opportunities arise as if by magic. The right people appear at the right time. Resources materialize when they are needed. Third, it is productive. Silent prosperity not only accumulates wealth, but also creates value for others. Its presence improves the quality of life of those around it. Its projects benefit entire communities. Their influence leaves the world better than they found it. Silent prosperity arises when one stops wasting sexual energy on momentary pleasures and invests it in the systematic development of one's own magnetic presence. Whenever one resists the immediate impulse, one acts, depositing energy into one's account. Jung observed that people who achieve this level of wealth develop what he called intuitive intelligence, the ability to make informed decisions, even with limited information. This skill is infinitely more valuable than technical knowledge, as it allows you to face uncertainty with confidence. But silent prosperity goes beyond material results. It's a quality of life that enriches you internally, regardless of external circumstances. You don't have to constantly worry about money because you know your capacity to create. Courage is unlimited. This inner wealth manifests itself in practice. You negotiate from a position of strength because you're not desperate. You take calculated risks because you trust your adaptability. You invest in long-term relationships because you think in decades, not quarters. The prosperous and discreet person understands that true wealth lies in time, energy, and freedom, not just the numbers in a bank account. They create systems that generate passive income so they can invest their time in truly rewarding activities. Jung recognized that this type of person develops spiritual authority, an influence that goes far beyond economic power. You become a catalyst that enables others to awaken their potential. Your mere presence inspires optimal performance. Silent prosperity is the result of years spent channeling sexual energy into creative power. This doesn't happen overnight. It develops through consistent discipline and a long-term vision. Those who achieve this level of prosperity no longer need to strive for success. Success follows them. They no longer need to convince others of their worth. Their value is reflected in everything they touch. They no longer have to prove anything to anyone. Their work speaks for itself. This is true freedom, acting from an inner prosperity that manifests itself in a silent, lasting and meaningful outer prosperity. If this video caught your attention, subscribe to the channel now. Leave a comment below. I choose silent prosperity. When you're ready to transform your sexual energy into the magnetism that attracts true prosperity, continue reading and discover our other videos. They'll help you tap into the inner forces that generate outer prosperity and awaken your inner king.